Welcome to the Hazara Pioneers Library on Amunji Strategy at Mechidtv with a special program in regards to in commemoration with the 25th of September as the day, an official declaration of the fall of the Hazaras after the Hazara war by the Emir of Kabul, Abdul Rehman, the Iron Emir of that time. نوسگو in باکلو ارجای کی the social media از مهاجرتا تیر شده گوجه ده قیامستین در سری دنیا هر دو طرف را مدر و مخاطب قرار میدیم باکلو and نوسگو چون قصه باکل را اگر فراموش کردی نوسا بز کلکتیو میموری خور از دست دی باز دی کلکتیو میموری حضرت بیدل مگه اگر به فهم زیان هم رسیده سود است. ای current situation in terms of the Hazara history very little available. خیلی کم درباره تاریخ برنامه وجود داره که د خورد مردم د سوشل میدیا داشتن و اینمی موقعیت ازش استفاده کرده چون که بسیار کم علمی و کم فهمی و جذباتیت د سوشل میدیا وقت موجوده حتی که مربوط به هیستری که کار زو طریقه کار زو بر بنیاد فکتس حقایق واقعیت ها که تو د ریشه برسی اوریجنال سورسز را پیدا کنی پرایمری سورسز استعمال کنی و یک هیستوریکال نریتیو را سپورت کنی كلهم. اینالی خدمت شما امروز the Hazara Pioneers Library. We have got a collection of books for the readers mostly in English. And they relate with the Hazara history, the Hazara war of 1893 and the fall of the Hazaras. And then the dispersion and then in the last 25 years the war and migration of these people. هر جایی که هستن در سر دنیا که هستن مهاجرت رفتن اکنومیک مایگرنت رفتن یا رفیوجی رفتن این داستان تازه نیه 125 سال اقلا داستان داره گفتیم بخاطر ازی که در پالوی امزی جذباتیت در پالوی ازی فقط اوپینین بازی ولی سوشل میدیا چون که عوامی یک اپروچه همون جی هم اگر در بسیار زبان ساده در انگلیسی وازرگی میکس خودمانی گپ بیزدیم که یک چوکات ببینیم داستان خوره اطلاعات خیلی ضعیف موجود نیه و اگر هستم در فارسیه و فارسی را در روزا در زوستم که sorry we can't understand فارسی و فارسی داری نمفهمی علی انگلیسی رم که میخوانی اونجی تا که او چیز در انگلیسی نرسیده مثلا امی یک سال دو سال مشه که یکی از مهم سورسیزی تاریخ حاضره و تاریخ منطقه و تاریخ افغانستان بالخصوص سراج التواریخ فیض محمد کاتبی هزاره است که پدر تاریخ معاصری افغانستان گفته میشه. اینالی ما شما سراج التواریخ رو اصلا خوانده نمیتونی زوستوخ و کلهم اید کتاب سیلنه ترجمه ازی شده در یک گذشته چند وقت. اینالی از اون جی درو دوستایی که سکولرشیپ را گرفتن پولیتیکل ساینس میخوانن سوشیولوژی میخوانن هیستوری میخوانن فقط میتونه که امو ترانسلیت شده را یعنی انتظار کنه که کی ترانسلیت شونه که ما در برسم از خودی سورسیزی که زبان فارسی بود انفورچونتلی از اون منتج دیم. اینالی 25 سپتامبر را سکولرلی چرخم ببینیم as a historical researcher چرخم روشن کنیم برای عوام. اول خوی کاری خواسه خواص یعنی الیت یعنی یگو نخبه یعنی یگو سپیشل شخصی که دمنه خصوصا من هیستری حضره عمر خروزده شاید گمنام باشه اطراف شما اگر میشناسین میتونی ارتباط کنین پیدا کنین تر نفراره که از خاطری زبان gap generation gap and language gap they can't talk to the young people, and they can't come to the social media. They can't make up a YouTube channel, say, okay guys, let me translate it for you in English so that you understand your grandfather's tragic past. A milestone in the life of the Hazaras in the recent history. موضوع برنامه امروز خلاصه کنم بگم که ما چیز میخوایم دمنیزی چند وقت که شما وقت داشتین برنامه رسیل کن از این خاطر که یک چند معلومات از لحاظی کشتاری از هزارها توسط امیر کابل گفتیم ایرا تاکی و ما خود چون که یک سیکندری سکول تیچر در لندن بودم، کار از ما جغرافی و هیستوری و ریلیجیس ایژوکیشن تعلیم بوده، تدریس بوده. ما این سوال همیشه از خود داشتم که ورلد هیستوری، بریتیش هیستوری، یوروپیان هیستوری اینا را ما درس میدیم. ancient history, Babylonians, Egyptians, and then here you come to the Far East, here Japanese and the Chinese and the Koreans and the Malays and the Malaysians and the Indonesians and all these people. What is available on the media, especially the modern media, that is visible, which is هایی که ما خبر نداریم و تاریخی خود مویه بخاطر ازی که وہ available نیه. مٹریل اگر اویلیبل ہے لینگویج فارسی ہے اینا اسکالرشپ میں خواهی که دو لینگویج قوی ہے نفرا که در لینگویج فارسی یا دری و انگلیش خوب سه یمیتر دقیق باشن و پیش باین و ای کارای ترجمه را یعنی گیپی بری فهم بری اندرستندینگ که گیپ وجود داره. بخاطر ازی که اگر ما او تاریخچه را خبر نباشیم ما از سود و زیان خو بیخبریم که چی اینوست کرد ما چیز داره و نیم داره. Mano Sergo Nosgor, I'm talking to you. You're playing games, aren't you? Which games are you playing? Oh, you're watching Hunger Games? Ah, that's a favorite. Oh, what about Anger Games? You play, come on, shoot him, kill him. These people were also playing games. Let me introduce you. Shashi Tharoor's an era of darkness, it means the British Empire in India. Let's begin with this. For what? For this. Power. And I want to begin this India under the British rule, British Empire. This, for the last 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years, whatever politics has been happening, conquerings and invasions and empire building has been for power. Robert Greene writes, if power is your ultimate goal, this is the book you need. The Times has said about this, the 48 Laws of Power. So this is published for other people so that if you are, this is a bestseller for you, best-selling book for those who want power. Do you want power? Or watch power? Write about it, comment about it, writes books about it, goes on media and talks about it. Are you dealing with power watching? Or want to arm themselves against power? Self-defense. Kya power? The zor kho, the zar kho, ya the tazwir kho. Maya dar maya maga yani kara ma mugum kano. What do? You need to understand how power works. You want to arm yourself against power, then what kind of power can work? Soft power. In order to, for those of you who are scholarly, I would like to read this brief introduction so that first item in our library, the Hazara Pioneers Library, you put it in this frame. These few books that we have brought today should become a kind of a frame of reference to find your history in the world history. You see what I'm talking about? Fahmi di alai? Bakuldam samjao kam kamajai ram bugi gosh karjai ki chiksaya. About this book, a moral, cunning, or amoral, cunning, ruthless, and instructive. This piercing work distills 3,000 years of the history of power into 48 well-explained laws. As attention-grabbing in its design as it is in its content, this bold volume outlines the laws of power in their unvanished essence, synthesizing the philosophies of Machiavelli in the time of the Medicis, in the time of the Renaissance. Machiavelli became a prominent advisor, and he wrote his book Prince to advise the prince and the kings how to rule actually. Sun Tzu, the Chinese sage, Carl von Clausewitz, and other great thinkers. Some laws require prudence. For example, law number 1 says, never outshine the master. Some stealth, like law number 3, conceal your intentions. And some, the total absence of mercy, like law number 15, crush your enemy totally. But like it or not, all have applications in real life situations, illustrated through the tactics of Queen Elizabeth I, who was the English queen. Henry Kissinger, whose world order we have got it for you here, is talking about that today's empire, new American century world order. Now after Britain, we are going to rule the world. We have the power, and everybody submit to my power. P.T. Berman and other famous figures who have wielded or been victimized by power. These laws will fascinate any reader interested in gaining, observing, or defending against ultimate control. Ultimate control is the meaning of power. Why do you want power? Why do you want power? Because you want your wish to be applied on others. This is the reason. मेरा इरादा आप पर चले, ये मेरा इरादा है. मैं कहता हूँ करो. The zor musha, the zar musha, the tazwir musha kanu. Agar na to crush mukanum. Now, these power concepts and laws that Robert Greene has condensed into 48 probably can tell us all the story of why empires were built. Why an English nation, far-flung in European islands, after the Queen Elizabeth I, defeating the Spanish in the Spanish Armada. The fleet is broken, and then afterwards, the water is under the rule of the English. And from that time, then the trade routes, and then going exploration, scientific exploration, and also finding fertile lands where labor and land are abundantly available. You go there and you occupy them and you use the people, you turn them into slaves, you take their resources, you build your empire. That is power. And for that, whether you will listen and deal with me, this is another one which will be of interest to all the political scientists and all the strategists of today and tomorrow. I'm not talking about strategists of yesterday, because strategists of yesterday, they don't know the meaning, definition of power. Okay. The deals that made the world. What? The deals that made the world? Yeah. Russell Brand says, the terrifying truth. This will scare so many people. Shawar shayad khawnarid. Kimuga saudai mazdajda. Are alay, urmaga sauda az mal razdamsha. Sudu ziyanam az mala. Mal. Ye charcho bhi Qur'ani ek explain kanam. Mal barai nafs. Nafs barai zindagi. Zindagi barai namus. Namus yani 3. Yani zan. Yani watan. Yani aqidah. Zan Turche Paolkat, Wazir's daughter. Testimony. Hazara war after that. Prisoners sold in up to Calcutta. Calcutta, Calcutta in India. The Bazar Hai, Hindu, Peshawar. Atraf. Zan Asir Musha. Watan Taitir Musha. Aqidet Rumaga Kafran, the Torla Kafran. What he wants is power. Why? Because a great power is playing a great game here. Let me introduce to you, this is a very special for a lot of people who are interested in this region's history. The great game was played in this region, in India, northern areas, Central Asia, all these mountains, Himalayan ranges. The great game on secret service in High Asia. Scholars, for nearly a century, the two most powerful nations on earth, Victorian Britain and Tsarist Russia, struggled to outmaneuver one another in Central Asia. Those who engaged in this shadowy contest in the vast no man's land to the north of India called it the Great Game. It was the real-life world of Kipling's Kim. Rudyard Kipling was also an author, an agent of the British Raj, and he was an explorer too. He wrote the book Kim, which is a famous, and also a movie has been made on this, so I think most of you. شما زوستو سيل كده Kim يا موغلي يا Jungle Book. I'm not سيل كده يا موزو دورة Rudyard Kipling نوشتا كده Kim. He's about an Indian boy whose story. So the great game is the hunt for power. Again, game also means hunting. When the king and his horsemen are running after some animal in the jungle to hunt it, that is the entertainment of the elite, the kings and the lords and the mirs and the khans and the presidents and chief executives and all the rest. Okay, so this is important. Famidin inali famidin ki maawanezi bekhanam ki what is the important? In the lonely passes and blazing deserts of Central Asia, an epic struggle took place during the last century between the agents of Victorian Britain and Tsarist Russia. It became known as the Great Game, and its repercussions are still being felt today. Asraj tabal mehsus musha. Chuni great game, the greater game tabdil nashda basha bhai. Colonization has neo-colonization. Kini new tariqa. Now what is the colony? The land is not the colony anymore. It is the mind and heart that has been colonized. Greater game. So you need greater struggle in this game. The vast imperial chessboard, Shatranji, Bisati Shatranji, Shahanshahi, on which the two superpowers, any Russian Tsar and British Empire of the day, maneuvered for advantage. They were moving ahead, and then they were making a deal with another Khan over there. And then when they were making, then there's some killing going on. Somebody is rising against. So these plots and this cunning and this planning and dealing, it's all going on there. Stretched from the snow-capped Caucasus in the west to Tibet and China in the east. Ooh. If you look at the world map, which we don't have at the world geographical map, the Caucasus, you can go from the bottom of Russia down all the way to China. It's a very huge mass of mountains, especially the Himalayas, where this game was played. When play first began, this great game first began, the frontiers of Russia and British India lay some 2,000 miles apart. Their borders, there were 2,000 miles land in between their borders. Oh, Russia is over there, India is over here, in between is this many stans. 2,000 miles apart. By the end, the gap had shrunk in places to less than 20 miles. Penetration has begun. Now, wherever they were taking position, they were looking where is the opponent. The opponent is now reached there. So they are even getting as close to 20 miles. This book tells the story of the Great Game, one of the most romantic episodes in modern history, through the adventures and misadventures of those who took part in it on other side. Some traveled on their shadowy missions in disguise. Roop badal ke behrupiya. Mullah Sahib jo Mechid namaz mida, agent Britain. Yeah, Muga, I'm a horse trader. Anybody wants horses? I've got so many good horses. In disguise as holy men or native horse traders, while others set out in full regimentals, and others have their other missions because they're all agents. Some of them are doing one task, some of them are distracting, some of them are holding, some of them are seducing. It was always a dangerous game, and some never returned. Many agents, they are buried in the deserts of Taklamakan and Central Asian deserts, even up to Gobi. As the Russians pushed forward their frontiers, the British became convinced that they would not halt until India. The Russian Tsar said, move towards India. So as they were making moves, the British were like scared. They are not going to stop somewhere, they're going to come down to India and become a very big problem for us. The richest of all imperial prizes was theirs. Soon the Tsar's empire was expanding at some 55 square miles a day. وتما ويقول وقت رسيد كيف 55 سكوير ميل متر درو بيشن درو توسط ايجنتا توسط الاشكر رزا regiments. As one by one the khanates and caravan towns of the old Silk Road fell to the fast riding Cossacks, even in the van of the Russian advance, at times war seemed inevitable. And then it شور دیگه اضافه شد منیزنا تو حدر کی امکاناتی جنگ پیدا شد که بین رشیا و بین روس و هند بریتانیا جنگ امکان داره. To the young officers and others on either side who were chosen to play the great game, it was the stuff of dreams. Here was a chance to escape the monotony of garrison life and perhaps win promotion, glory, or even a place in the imperial history books. What do agent touches me khast? As many garrison, as many barracks, better me ke damne ko higher venture bushuni. Shayad ego prize manizam win chune glory milaush ne damne history book namas mona ishtashna. It was their task to fill in the blanks of the staff maps. Chikar mukadi agenta manizi ko istana ke daramadan. Malum ku data naqsha rajor ku. Naqsha was not there, satellite was not there, it was not all known. These people, they were calling it no man's land because no king claimed all of it. This Khan says this is my area, and then after that mountain another Mir is there. But they are coming as an empire and they are missing information. Which road, how long connects which other road that connects with Silk Road, and which town, trade town, important place, border areas, historical significance, land. How is the land? Go find out before we go there. If we can't carry our ammunition and resources, which they couldn't do, they came up to Shilabagh, they dug a tunnel, they wanted to go across these mountains to Chaman and then to the rest of Afghanistan, take railway road. There's no railway road in Afghanistan at the moment. Why? Because it got stuck in Shilabagh here. And there's an interesting story, some of you know, that Kalanom Kisana as Bakulub Sankit, Kemikisi Shilabagh Chia. Ikudam engineer but ki wada that ki ma the next minimum time there's a deadline matura tunnel ramidomi Kalantrin project but that you are now needing tracks to have trains because this Hojak tunnel or this mountain or this pass is very high. Even now the traffic goes very slowly on top and then goes down. So they wanted to make it easy for them so that the tracks and trains should go and carry all the imperial resources and war machines. They couldn't. Why? Because the engineer miscalculated maybe a few hours. But he said, because I failed, he killed himself. That's the story. Find it out for yourself. It's one of the characters of this area, Shilabagh, towards Chaman, between Quetta and Chaman. To the young officers and others on either side who were chosen to play the great game, it was the stuff of dreams. Here was a chance to escape the monotony of garrison life and perhaps win promotion, glory, or even a place in the imperial history books. It was their task to fill in the blanks of the staff maps, discover possible invasion routes, gather political intelligence. Key ruler the Gujaya Chan Nafara Chan Sawardra Chan Piada Kazki Jora Kazki Najora. Befriend powerful Khans. जो खान जोरावर है उनके साथ अंडवाली बढ़ाओ, थोड़ा तोहफा मोहफा ले जाओ. And report on the movements of the other side. Okay, what are the Russians doing? Please report. The great game's violent aftermath haunts us even now. It has had a very violent consequences, results. The overthrow of Asian rulers, first of all. The native rulers, you're overthrowing them, and as a foreigner you come and say, I'm the ruler. The overthrow of Asian rulers, the storming of embassies, inglorious retreats from Afghanistan, and bloodletting in Caucasus. All these were familiar to Victorian newspaper readers. Victorian newspaper readers in the time of Queen Victoria, when British Empire was ruling India 150 some years ago. We're talking about 1837 to 1886. This is coming from British newspaper. It's an old drawing where this Asian king, Asian Khan Mir, is stuck between two rival powers. This is the Great Games card game, which is available, and you can basically enjoy playing this game. This is that Amir of Kabul who says, save me from my friends. In this great game, how can friendships even? Here I'm just going to show you so that great game bazi ki det ya khali hunger game bazi nahi shumo. Rules of play sta pura khada explained to the NGM poster share rival empires in Central Asia. This is all the explanation of the game, and the cards are here. Great game cards. It's a bunch of cards. For example, if I may, just for the sake of curiosity, because it's all in here, instead of opening the book, I would like to maybe just randomly take a card out. This one. This great game was played from 1837 to 1886. It is about emissary number 1. Card number 1 with 2 head figures on the coin by the 2 empires, probably their coins. So this is emissary, for example, that when they were sending their emissaries, their envoys, their safirs, what were they doing there? What kind of deals were they making? How they are befriending a powerful Khan, and how they were bribing them and preparing them, and seeing how within their family is there any other interested party which Kaka wants to rule or somebody else. That was how emissaries and the envoys of the queen would deal. And there is of course the dice you can play. These are the dice and the rest of interesting thing which Ma naqsha shumur nishan midum naqshe great game ra, lekin Peter Hopkirk, the author of this great game, how the British and the Russians played this great game in no man's land, and how the wars broke there, and how people were dispersed 125 years ago. Peter Hopkirk has traveled extensively. Now this guy has traveled in those areas that he wrote. All those places that these agents were playing their games, Russian and the British from India, he went all those places. In great game country. Now where is the great game country? Where was it played? All these map, more than this map, I'll show you now. Russian and Chinese Central Asia. Amu Bakshi Central Asia that connects Russia and China. Afghanistan, Mongolia, northern India, which is this Kashmir and Peshawar area and Sarhad and all this. This is northern area, frontier area. This was called Sarhad in connection to India actually. Persia, northern India and Pakistan, Persia, eastern Turkey and the Caucasus at the belt of near Russia. His three widely acclaimed earlier books also deal with the activities of Western travelers and others in this larger than life region. This is a mesmerizing region. And people that had gone there before, travelers, and they have written books, these other people in the West were like, really, that kind of place, I want to go there. Before becoming a full-time author, he was on the staff of the Times for 19 years, 5 as its chief reporter and also as a Middle and Far East specialist. Before entering the Fleet Street, he served as a subaltern in the King's African Rifles. So he himself is a soldier. He is currently working on a book dealing with secret Turco-German activities in Persia. कि उधर जर्मन और तुर्की आपस में क्या कर रहे थे पर्शिया में. We are only looking at the Indian side and Central Asian side. But he is dealing with the empire, then the German Empire was also interested. This was the third party. Now, the British Empire is ruling India. The threat is coming from the Russian. They want it. That their kingdom also wants India. But also the kingdom of Germany at that time. I think these three kingdoms from different countries, they were cousins between each other. They say, oh, your cousin, then German, how did they make a deal with the Turks? And played this game in Persia. So it's not only this region, Pakistan, Afghanistan, but also the Persian region, because this is the heart of Asia. He is currently working on a book dealing with the secret Turco-German activities in Persia, the Caucasus and Afghanistan during the First World War. You may know it's called Like a Hidden Fire. This great game, there was a lot of writing about it. That between Russia and between the British and India, there's a lot of tussle going on, a lot of news reports are coming. But here it was kept very hidden between Germany and Turkey. They were using Persia and Afghanistan and the upper region. I'll show you now in the map. Here is the major Pamirs: Persia, Russia, Caspian Sea, Persian Gulf, Baluchistan, Afghanistan, Punjab, Kashmir, Pamir, Tibet, Taklamakan. Afterwards is China. The rest here, afterwards is Turkey. And then there is Europe. So it's basically the whole of Central Asia. This is the map of the Central Asia. Here, the great game was played, and also the other game by the German and the Turkish. Did you know that from Berlin to Baghdad there is a railway track by the Germans? What for? Because they wanted to come down to Baghdad, and from there they would be easily going to Khalij Fars, Persian Gulf, and from there on the waters down to India. This was the route. And how these agents of the great game were playing the same games in Persia to counter that also. Because you know what they were coming for? 130 years ago, the Germans wanted to launch a jihad. He wanted to meet the Afghan Amir. Okay, these kuffars must be removed from India. Hello, excuse me, are you German? Yes, but you're talking about kuffar? Yeah, but I'm talking about that kuffar, you know. Jihad and Zaruriyan. Haza, we make a deal. Ah, yes. I was talking about the importance of deal, the deal that made the world. Do you want to know about the importance of deal? Get to know in our library one of the relevant books about these games of power that we are talking about. While the laws that guide our lives are written by the politicians we elect, डेमोक्रेसी है, पोजीशन ऑपोजिशन, कौन जीत गया, ये जीत गया, चलो जी मेक लॉज, give it to the judiciary to think it over and make it legally structured, and then give it to the executives, the police and army, to apply it. This is apparently the game of democracy, that we elect people, they go to the assembly, and then they think about us, and they make laws about us. While the laws that guide our lives are written by the politicians we elect, much of the world around us, from the food we eat. This is the world map. I'm just going to point to this map. This is about trends and technologies timeline. From 2010 up to 2050, what is going to happen? What is happening in society and culture? This is all the trends on the yellow line. Then you have geopolitics. What's going on in the next 40 years? What's happening? In energy, science and technology, healthcare, medicine, retail and leisure, the economy, financial services, environment and climate, food and drink, transport, travel and tourism, home and family, IT and telecoms, news and media, work and business. What is happening in the next 20, 30, 40 years? The strategist asks this question. They are made, these map comes out of deals that are made for 100 years, for 200 years, for 50 years, and they have made a lot of deals with those khans that they made friends with. From the food we eat, to the products we buy, to the medications we take, it is shaped by private negotiations between two owners of two big corporations on a meeting. Hi, how are you doing today? Would you like some new item on the table, or you would like the usual? I would like the usual, please. Thank you. Right. So, where's the pen? Please sign here. What is that? That is writing probably about a country. For 100 years, you and I are going to do this, okay? Two people. Two groups probably. By private negotiations and business deals few of us know about. Only a few people know that actually whatever is going on is because of the deals that are made. We have no idea who made the deals. Very powerful people, by the way. Why those meet? They want it to their profits. For 20 years, Parati has interviewed the author, the people behind the decisions that have altered our world. He's gone and met all those people that have made decisions that has changed our world today. It's like this. From CEOs of multinational corporations to politicians, economists, and scientists. In the deals that made the world, this book, Parati draws on his vast knowledge to reveal a host of fascinating and startling connections. From how Wall Street's actions on food commodities helped spark the Arab Spring, to the link between the AIDS epidemics in 1980s, San Francisco, and the subprime mortgage crisis of 2008. He proves a sure guide combining both eye-opening, on-the-ground reporting and a narrative flair that makes esoteric financial and business concepts clear. हम business और financial concept को समझते भी नहीं हैं, उसको भी clear करता है and understandable. The deals that made the world, and a lot of deals were made in the Great Game in Central Asia. So the map of the Central Asia, the card game of the Great Game, I presented for you. This one is another one which is related after in our narrative. داستان ما چیز میگیم 25 ستامبر روزی شکستی آزرا روبری امیر کابل و آواره شدن و دست دادن ناموس زن وطن عقیده هر سه‌شی پایمال بریتانیا و افغانستان نویسنده فیلد مارشال لارد رابرتس of Kandahar. 41 سال در هند. So he was in the India, then he was moved to Kandahar. And the field marshal writes his story. چل و یک سال در هند. تألیف فیلد مارشال لارد فردریک رابرتس of کندهار است که در جنگ دوم افغانستان و انگلیس خود فرمانده عالی قوای کابل بود. فتح کابل از کارنامه‌های نظامی اوست و لقب لارد آف کندهار را پس از شکستن مقاومت‌های مجاهدین و جنگ میوند که ما انگلیس را مغلوب آن می‌شماریم، جنگ میوند، مقاومت‌های مجاهدین و جنگ میوند که ما انگلیس را مغلوب آن می‌شماریم، یعنی اینجوری انگلیسی‌ها شکست خورد، کمایی نموده است. خاطرات این افسر انگلیسی که زندگیش را با افغانها دوران باشکوه حیاتش میشناسد و افغانها را شایسته دوستی و مردان واقعی میشمارد، جزئی مهمی از اسناد تاریخی افغانستان را تشکیل میدهد. ولی تا جایی که حافظه یاری میدهد، متاسفانه این کتاب و آثار بیشماری نظیر آن که حاوی اطلاعات و شواهد ارزشمندی از جریانات سیاسی قرون 17 تا 20 شبه قاره هند، افغانستان و ماوراءالنهر و ایران و عراق که من این نقشه تمام از نجایی میشه، در مجموع قلمرو و مستعمرات نامحدود بریتانیای کبیر می باشند. چهل و یک سال در هند تفصیل کامل شورش نظامی هند در 1857 کی جنگ آزادی. اردو فام شما میشناسین. 1857 در هند یک شورش شد خلاف امپراتوری انگلیس. خاطرات وی در رابطه با معاملات دولت هند. معامله इंडियन ब्रिटिश ने क्या मामला किया با امیر دوست محمد، امیر محمد افضل و امیر محمد اعظم، بیشتر مربوط به دوران اولیه نظام این افسر عالی رتبه بریتانیایی می شود. این فقط به خاطر یک معرفی از کتاب و فقط اشاره بازی که در افغانستان اینا دست نشانده داشتن، در هند خود چی در جای خشته بودن و اطراف این رقم قد گرید گیم، قد امسریز، قد سفرا، قد زر، اینا دیلز معامله کردن. معامله توخی کسش معامله نکنه، خب معامله هر روز جاریه، خب مو معامله را که مو فهمیده معامله. This is the world order, this is the new معامله. New American century در فرصت سال اونا برنامه داره که مشکار کردنی بعد از تباه کردنی Middle East. Greater game is going on, and not only physical war, hard war, soft war, new empire. Ruling over your mind and heart is the new empire. Information, technology, and knowledge economy. What are these people doing in this new, greater game? Any idea that a game is played again? And you're still a victim of it, you have no idea? This one is the story of every Hazara that suffered in this war under the Great Game. So it's a Great Games Afghan war or Afghan rule or Afghan chapter. It's all a lot of stories. You go to the Caucasus area, go to Persia, come to Balochistan, go to Punjab, and go to Delhi, go to Kolkata, go to Hyderabad, go to Singapore, go to Malaysia. Everywhere the empire's tentacles, are spreading. Who's spared? So what does the British want as a result of this great game? Don't let the Russians come in. Where they can come in, they're all mountains. Over there from Turkey onwards, this way, up to Himalayan ranges, you have only one pass, Khyber Pass. You can enter India from there only. The rest you can't. Or you want to go out, Bolan Pass. You want to come in from the Persian side? The empires and the rulers of the world have been passing through these passes, Bolan Pass and Khyber Pass. They couldn't make Shila Pass, so they still failed. And a failed state still exists in the region. They didn't rise. What is Inali as Hawali Bispanj Tambari commemoration of the fall of the Hazaras under the great game, under the rule of Abdul Rehman, Amir of Kabul, who was placed by the British, who was even saying, save me from my friends, because for him Russians were also saying, we are your friends, British were also saying, we are your friends. This is the symbol of Russia. Big khirs. And this big share is a sign of both the countries. And this is the king, Abdul Rehman of Kabul at that time, who was brought from Uzbekistan, an exile, and he said, made a deal, said, you are the king. Now please protect this area. Don't let any Russian agents or any powers this way to India. So he had to have everybody subdued. No different people, no rebellion. Whoever rebelled, including there was a lot of destruction against rebellion in terms of the Khiljis, and then the Hazaras, and then the Nuristanis. They were called Kafiristan at that time, and then they changed their name to Nuristan. A lot of massacre happened there, particularly because we are remembering, as a history scholar, research scholar, all of you I'm talking to you, Nosago as well, that is our collective story. It's our story in the world history. It is the Hazara massacre under the great game, under the rule of Amir Abdul Rehman of the new Afghanistan of that time. War and migration started. For 125 years, these people are on the road. They have been dispersed, they have taken refuge wherever they could, wherever somebody didn't force their power upon them. They went on to seek new life. What is the khasara here? Forget about the Suduzian. The khasara is that we don't even know we have lost. The figure I'm talking to Nosago. Nosago who are like modern Nosago. Yeah, man. I have no bakul. What? You don't have any bakul? Grandfather? What is the history? Did you not study this? Wazir's daughter, Dukhtari Wazir? 62% of the population of the Hazaras were dispersed and massacred and killed and destroyed. Properties seized. Women sold as slaves into the Kabul market and Peshawar markets. And your faith was made a joke of. So the namus was Taraj. This is the Bakul, grandfather's legacy. What do you think, Mr. Juano? What is your take on this? You remember that you have survived an onslaught and almost a genocide. That didn't only happen there. I told you, in the region it happened here. It happened to by the Turks against other smaller people. Azerbaijan people have got issues surrounding neighboring. So whoever became more powerful and imperial, doesn't matter who. Power corrupts, and ultimate power corrupts ultimately. You want to destroy, that's why you want power, there's a quotation. Otherwise, love would be enough. You want to possess, you want to conquer, you want to exert your will, say, my will be done. My minali jammane mira da Balochistan merim jamnim. Kiani janabi yakiz reference hai ki mo dras dashtem ki effort kadan kamo besh janabi Abdul Rehman ki da Balochistan azra chi activity dashta buda wa the recent history amu gap ki wujud dara imkan dar manezi dosta paida kana wa sare nakhrazin jibi kira mane Balochistan. But this war and migration didn't only stop in Balochistan, in the at that time's British Balochistan, which was also part of the deals they took over. Nobody attacked there. So many deals were made similarly. And then later on, the partition, the split if you see the world after the British Empire, they are all divided like with a ruler. They were like, okay, I think we should do from here, it should be India, and then it should be Pakistan, and this is Persia, the Balochistan should also be here and there. Okay, fine, all right, let's go. That's how they wrote your Sarnavisht. Ek afsar navisht. Partition should have taken 6 months at least, or 6 years. कि plan करो कि India and Pakistan को किधर से तकसीम करे. This guy came within 3 months, he had to give the result, say, idhar hi se karo bas theek hai. There's a documentary about it. The partition border, how was it drawn? Then go to the Middle East, how the British left the Nigeria, the Tunisia, the Algeria. The history of empires. The last bit of the British history was the British as an empire. Before it became a machine power, industrial revolution, big ships boop, 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 going on, and then guns are coming and there's going to kill all the people who had swords. What about Japan? When they opened up, they went with their railways and they basically eliminated all the people with sword. The samurais were eliminated. Guns were sold. East India Company came as a company to buy and sell spices and some cotton or something like that. But then they took over politics. And then the last king of Delhi was sent to where? Rangoon? That's how it ruled India and how it divided and ruled. The borders today are the cause of conflict. It's got a background there. Why every border is a cause of conflict? Because it is wrongly drawn. The empire has drawn it. He has exerted his will that this is one country and that's another one, and both of them are enemies against each other. What is this? Let me jump to this point, which I wanted to basically خیلی ضروری گوش کنین का बड़ा खुलासे इसी का बाय. Great game, power, world order, the deeds that made the world. It says an era of darkness. Zulmat ka daur jab British India mein the. Shashi Tharoor, this guy writes it. How do they play their games? Or how do they play their games now? Political games, financial games, cultural games. Everything is a game. They see it as a game. And in this regard, have you heard of game theory? No, I have not heard of it. Oh, okay. Game theory, Henry Kissinger was one of those people who took the concept of game, boxing, football, and they said, promote these two games especially. Blue corner versus red corner. Khurujangi start. But it's just two people this time. Made a good business out of it. A lot of people, yeah, aggression. Anger games, as we are all playing these days digitally. Kill him, kill him. Game theory means you make a position and there will be an opposition. Take a controversial issue especially and support some group. A lot of people will say, what is this? This is wrong. And they will seek because there is power behind the new group or people, let's strengthen our opposition. Death to that one. Death to that one. We don't want this. This is wrong. And then now the player is sitting and you're in some kind of embassy, some kind of place where they can have a one-to-one conversation, and then they're saying, how is it going there? So yeah, there's a lot of heat. Both sides are people now on the streets and they're shouting at each other, having no idea that whose game is this. But the game theory has been applied. Football, why is it so exciting? Why is it so much promoted? Because it's the same. One ball, 22 people. There is moment-to-moment interaction and conflict possibility. And who is going to score? Yeah! Anger games. Madness. This is game theory applied in politics. All the strategists know this, and the students of strategy will see how the game theory is applied in playing the great game. Making this guy, supporting this guy against that person, finding out, getting the information that what's between them. Something wrong? Yeah, they've got conflict between each other. Okay, exploit them. Tazwir, Zar and Zor, the forms of power in Azrigi. Ho, in Ali alay conclusion kanem ki ziyad sarsum da dard andawasha da dirjel gosh kadin ki da zeri distazi da pure yanzil naqsha ki ma shumar nishan dadum I massacres shuda, mistreatment shuda, deals jor shuda ki exploitation ra babara urda, separation urda, destruction shuda. What happened in this book of Alessandro Mansuti, War and Migration, Social Networks and Economic Strategies of the Hazaras of Afghanistan. He is an anthropologist. Anthropologist क्या होता है? Anthropologist आपकी सोशियोलॉजी में उस एक्सपर्ट को कहते हैं जो कि बशरशनास है. वो जाता है एक इलाके में, देखते हैं who are these people, भाई, what language they speak, how they eat, where they live. They live with them for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And then research, he brings scholarship and he lives with them as well. One interesting thing which I would like to say to Nosugo, he said an anthropologist as a participant observer goes to a community of people in Africa, in Asia, in South America, in Far East, in Malaysian and Indonesian islands, and finds strange people. And in Amazon, he goes and still strange people with primitive lifestyle live there. These are all the jobs of anthropologists. Anthropos means bashara, any bashara, any frame, any body. Anthropology, so there's the study of different ethnicities and people and tribes and blood types, etc. He said an anthropologist goes to a community, a settlement. They're settled there. He lives there for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, lives with them around the season and understands them, and then matches their previous learning with new learning, and then comes up with a thesis, okay, I found out these things after 5 years. But he said the Hazaras were always on the move. They have been on the move for the last 125 years since the fall of the Hazaras, since the Hazara war. How are you going to observe a people on the move? You got to go along with them. All the routes he's taking. So when he's leaving his village after the fall of the Hazaras and all this slavery and all this cruelty and disaster and loss of land and honor and everything, actually. This is the story of the grandfather. So those who came to Balochistan, this is the story that you can study here, and also probably some, this is a different compilation by Gulzari, the Hazaras, and this goes quite back in the history. So this is also one of the recent differences which we can use, but what I'm leaving all of you is with this title. That the great games were played by the powerful, and they are still being played, and they are played not for the physical land or your body, it is your mind and heart. So a people whose collective history is migration, they have been constantly on the lookout for a safe place to live. They have been under persecution for the last 125 years, with gaps in between, and it's still going on today. What is this new generation going to carry as a legacy? What story are they going to carry? This is a good start. Okay, how did they keep their social networks? If one family member was in another border crossing, another was trying to go through some other place, how did they manage when there was no link? In this first 20th century and this 21st century, again there's a wave of migration to different Western countries. Again there is the target, again there is a power play. So concluding my presentation today is what were your economic strategies. How did you manage to survive, to build a house, to grow a family while you're on the move? How some part of you are in Balochistan, some part of you are in Persia, some part of you are in Turkey, some part of you are in the other Istans, some part in India, dispersed, and recently in the Western countries too. Why so dispersed? It's because of persecution, of mass slaughter, of enslavement, of discrimination. One word. Discrimination never allows justice to happen. It's a background where justice is just denied. Justice delayed is justice denied. So the first justice we can do as scholars, as in Mzil legacy, Bakul Khanishi Hijrat Buddha. How did they manage? What did they pay for the survival? Does this generation care to remember the pains and tragedies that the previous generations before the 20th century, the very end of 19th century, when it all broke out? These all stories can be shared because of the social media availability. And the more facts we bring, the more we will help the younger generation who care less about what is going on behind them. They're just interested in the now. They're not even interested in the future. This current generation is occupied mentally by this. So I said this ki kari khawasa. You're elite, you've got some sort of power. Soft power. You can speak, you can present, you've got some part of information, you can contribute. So as migrating people for the last century and more, we do have a collective psyche of insecure. And the security is that you have a secure knowledge of your history. And the best thing to do is find your history in the world history. And what happened in the recent history was the Great Game. Empire building. And it came down to a name. Now, the dispersion after this is so vast that they barely managed to survive. They just sent some letter somewhere कि चमन लाला एमिर बेखो कि मो तेखंबर रज़दादा the car रज़दादा फलाना संगबुरी या अनोज़ सरायनमक पड़ता वक़्त सूरना मिखरादरो सौदानम शाह. So these are all tragedies. If we are forgetting, we are going to be losing even more. कि मुझे खसारे का हमारा कि तू loss खुरा परमुश्त करे. And you are living a life today because of possibility of migration and better economic circumstances, or a good life. I hope that none of us will forget, never forget, this day which marks a tragic massacre and destruction and dispersion of the Hazara people. The last flag which stands still open is in the Hazaras of Balochistan. When they moved in this part of northern India, they had to start a new life. And they pioneered. It means all they had was lost. The war had taken everything from them. They had taken their lands, their houses, their spouses, and as dispersed and displaced people migrating and finding a new place to live, they began life again, especially in Quetta and different other parts, in Lorelai and Hussain, probably these regions of Balochistan, and also the rest of the places in the north, probably towards Peshawar as well. We bear the flag of the Hazara pioneers as the survivors of this massacre under the Great Game. The scale is high, but then these people come and they not only strengthen themselves, they not only start living a life and bringing a hope to the rest of the people, but also whenever they find some hopeless migrant who has been left unattended or sold out or imprisoned somewhere, these were the people who went and collected them. That's why they're pioneering, they're restarting, rejuvenating after destruction. When you rejuvenate, you're a pioneer. Especially, and when you یک رای نو را که تو پیدانه و اثر نو یک نو منزل را دنبال منی, you are a pioneer. So the Hazara pioneers were all those people, not only those who worked in the military, and they were called the Hazara pioneers, but also if you go to the dictionary, you will see that pioneer is somebody who opens ways, who starts a new track, or who starts a new life. And there is also a plant in the top of the mountains. It's also called pioneer. If you open Merriam-Webster's dictionary and look up pioneers, you will see that this plant also means pioneer, because whenever there is a fire in the jungle, this tree burns, including other old trees, but then it starts again. It's got that urge of new life again. They were the Hazara pioneers in the military. They were the Hazara pioneers in economy. They came and they started trades. They started especially the footwear trades. And Balochistan is named by those pioneering people who started a new economy, an economic activity. Social pioneers, Hazaras had social pioneers who were people of etibar, mu'tabarin, that they looked after their people in need. You had Hazara pioneers in politics who went around and started representing their people and making sure that the decisions made in the government or in the places of power are cared for these people too. So in every field, when after the war in 1893, marked by 25th of September by the Hazara archives, is to remember and revive the story. And also salute to all those heroes who helped sustain, survive, and develop a new people, the Hazaras in Balochistan. Takes a mark there, from there. It's a landmark of our collective history while you're studying this and also this. I hope that some scholarship reference has been helpful for all those Nosogo who are modern educated and they are consuming information in English. I hope that this was helpful. But of course, قد باكلو بيشت قساكن عجي غورم پرسانكن كي مو چقدر دا زيان بودیم و اگر ایر فراموش کنیم چطور ایمیتنا خسران چونه خسرانی عمیق بر یک نسل دیگه آینده که تو تاریخ خورا نفهمیدی که چل سر تو چیز گیم بازی شد تو نمفهمی گیم تیوری چیزه تو امروز هم پیش پای بین استه امروز هم تو امریکم کی فیزیکلی دیسپرس یک دلیلی کامن با هم جمع شدن و قدرت گرفتن قوت گرفتن و سروایو کردن اینمی یک recommendation for all the research scholars, the people who are interested in this part of the world's history, and also the British Empire in India, and also what stands now. Where do we stand now? Do we understand the new games? Do we understand the Henry Kissinger's New World Order? What have they planned for? The question of the world order. I'm just going to narrate this and then end this session today for all those scholars to carry on and make a sense and come up with some good perceptions, some right perceptions about how to look at yourself and how to look at your history. So the first one is the question of world order. Chapter 1, the pluralistic international order. Chapter 2, the European balance of power system and its end. Chapter 3, Islamism and the Middle East, a world in disorder. Chapter 4, the United States and Iran, approaches to order. Chapter 5, the multiplicity of Asia. 6, towards an Asia or Asian order, confrontation or partnership. What are you going to do with China? China wants their own order. What do you want to do? Chapter 7, acting for all mankind, the United States and its concept of order. That all mankind should be one and then we will save everybody. Chapter 8, the United States, ambivalent superpower. Sometimes it says this, sometimes it says that. Chapter 9, technology, equilibrium and human consciousness. And finally, conclusion, world order and our time. This is the new great game, my dear Nosogo and Bakulo. Wherever in social media you watched this special episode of the Hazara Pioneers Library on Amunji strategy at Mechidtv for commemoration of the 25th of September as the day, the Black Day. And I hope that this has helped promoting a little bit of scholarship of how to look at it, and my own responsibility as a teacher of geography and history. I'm more than willing to cooperate and learn from those of you who can contribute, so that at least as much as I know about the world history, I know about my own history, our own history. And जाते हुए मैं आपको उर्दू में एक शेर सुनाता हूँ. अगर आपको समझ नहीं आई तो आप जमजमे से एंजॉय करें. And the final मैं आपकी खिदमत में उर्दू में एक शेर पेश करता हूँ. अहमद ज़ीशान हमारे दोस्त हैं क्वेटा के. फासलों के बारे में. फासले, महाजरत फासले लाती है हिजर में. वॉर में, मुसीबत में फासले जब बढ़ते हैं तो उसके बारे में एक शेर अर्ज़ है. फासलों के बारे में बस यही बताना है. हिजर हो के हिजरत हो, हमने इतना जाना है. जिसको पेश आ जाए उस बशर को अंदर से टूट टूट जाना है. फासलों के बारे में बस यही बताना है. हिजर हो के हिजरत हो, जिसको पेश आ जाए उस बशर को अंदर से टूट टूट जाना है. तो ये बशर जो आजरा बशर है आता है, इम टूट टूट जाना है. मैदा मैदा दलदा दलदा या खो तिदबादा. फासलों के बारे में क्या बताना है, बस इतना जाना है कि हिजर हो या हिजरत हो, बशर अंदर से टूट टूट जाता है. तो अंदर से टूट टूट जाने का यही एक बहाना था कि 25th of September को ब्लैक डे की कमेमोरेशन में इन connection with the Hazara archives and Mechidtv, this has been a presentation. I hope that this has brought some hearts closer, so that we remember who we are, where we have come from, and where we are going. Alay Chagar Kheli Mehrwani. Thank you very much.